Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. You're listening to a Coffees with Toffees podcast. I'll be your host, Flubb, and welcome to the Brewmaster's Draft, a show where we talk about Dota and a little bit about beer. So, as always, we have my ever-talented co-host, Kimbrell, with me today. Kimbrell, how you doing today, bud?
I'm doing okay. I'm not feeling 100%, so yeah, I'm just doing okay.
Yeah, that sucks, man. How's Dota been? Playing any good
Dota's
games lately?
it's been all right. I haven't played a whole lot actually. I've been playing a lot of Overwatch recently.
Trader.
Taking a little break from Dota, but I've played some games. I think you and I played some yesterday, I believe. We played one yesterday, and I played another game. I won both of those. Surprisingly, the first game, Kairai tried to throw a few times as anti-mage.
Kairai throwing? Really?
Right. But we came back from Megas, so it was a lot of fun. I think you might have saw the end of that game, or at least part of it.
Yeah, I did. I did.
So yeah, the Dota's been okay. It hasn't been bad. Hasn't been great either. But what about you? How's your week been?
It's been okay. You know, I've been playing with a lot of people. I haven't got a lot of time to work on my solo MMR, so you know that happens from time to time. And you know, you want to play with everyone, and I don't want anyone to feel left out. So probably this week I'll get like serious on the grind. Really, what's incredibly exciting for me is that I just got all my computer parts ordered in. I like sold a bunch of my Magic cards. Surprise, surprise, I'm a huge geek, and I play Magic. But I sold a bunch of my old Magic cards, and I bought a new computer to try to get that going. So maybe next week, you know, we'll have a brand new feel to it. I don't know. Hopefully it'll be nicer quality or something like that to our stream. And I'm really excited about that. So, you know, it's always good to get new stuff in your life. It's always good. But yeah, so we're going to move into what everyone wants to hear about, right? The beer. Like, everyone wants to hear about the beer. But real quick, before we get into the beer, I want to say hey to I Drink from a Ham. Awesome name, and it is an appropriate name for what we're about to talk about anyway. So, greetings, man. Thanks for joining us today. And let's talk about some beer, man. So what are you drinking today? Obviously, you're sick, so probably not drinking beer, but...
No beer today. I'm having green tea. I mean, it's pretty simple. It's a Keurig green tea. But yeah, I'm feeling not great. I had a late night last night, and then I didn't sleep at all. So, no, not feeling it. So I decided a beer probably wasn't best. So, yeah, let's talk about your beer, because I'm sure it's more interesting than my boring green tea.
All right, I'm down. Hopefully this is a twist off, because I think... Okay, my beer... All right, there we go. I got it. I thought that I didn't have a way to open this up because the beer was all weird. But I am drinking a... I'm going to probably butcher this, but... Lagunitas IPA. And it's a Lagunitas Brewing Company, so obviously it's good because it was named twice, right? And it's a well-rounded beer with highly... reading it off the description offline, highly drinkable IPA with a bit of caramel malt, malt barley that provides a richness that mellows out the twang of the hops. And it's about a 6.2 ABV. So I'm interested to try this out. I'm not a big fan of IPAs though, so we'll see how this one hits me and see if I like it. All right, so
sounds good.
Yeah. You like IPAs?
Yeah, there's one that I'm kind of particular to. It's one of Shiner's brands. It's called Wicked Ram. It's one of my favorites. But yeah, I like IPAs quite a bit.
Yeah, I know like the true beer drinkers drink it, so I'm trying to develop that taste for it. But man, so much hops in it usually, man. I know everyone loves the hops, but not a big hops guy. Anyway, you got a big draft for us today. So, what is your draft? Is this gonna be a first pick draft or a second pick draft? What are you feeling today?
Second pick, I believe.
Second pick. All right.
Yeah, because they want the last pick. So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, go ahead. Go into the picking order, man. It's all good.
Over. Okay, so the picking order is going to be as it's laid out on the background, it's going to be Io, Ursa, Puck, Slardar, Enigma. The reason why, I don't know, I was initially I was trying to find like an early Roche, like a level 1 Roche lineup, and I kind of decided while I was making this draft that I feel like level 1 Roche, sure it's good, but I feel like it's a little bit more vulnerable now, especially like with where the pit's located. And especially with like an Ursa Io, like I feel like you're almost always gonna just kind of poke your head in there, like, are they in there? You know, like bring 2 heroes and just check, because if so, you're kind of screwed. So, and you're kind of in that vulnerable area. So, I decided to go away from that. So instead of like a Wyvern or Witch Doctor as my position 4 was Slardar, I felt like Slardar added a lot of team fight, especially because it's Blink. But the main thing around it is just being able to push, take Roche, and also fight. The pushing power is probably the lowest out of those 3, but with Ursa and Enigma, I feel like you can still push pretty well, and then Io with Overcharge or whatever that skill's called, you're still able to push a decent amount. And then if Slardar, like if you go into more DPS, like say you go into deso, like some people do if they don't have enough physical damage, that also adds to your push game. But I felt like with the laning situation, I felt like with Slardar in the safe lane with Io, you would try lane it to start, and you want to harass and kill whoever is in the off lane. Like you should be able to kill that person at least level 2, but you should be able to kill them at level 1 too. With the stun, the body blocks, the slow from Io, and Ursa just hitting people. So yeah, but once that happens, if Slardar's level 2 or 3, I feel like he should be able to rotate to the off lane. And then at that point, Enigma should be good to go to the jungle. Now, Enigma can start out in the jungle if he needs to, but in the perfect scenario, I would have Enigma starting out in the off lane, being able to micro correctly and things like that. And then moving to the jungle, Slardar is able to get a faster 6. Io and Ursa are able to get a faster relocate and you know, get to their peaks a lot faster. Puck's doing his normal thing, and then Enigma is able to do what he needs to do. So I feel like it kind of, you're not starting with somebody in the jungle immediately, and sometimes that can kind of be a bummer, like especially when they have a hero like Riki, who's one of my banned heroes. So yeah, and so with all that, I feel like you don't necessarily have to fight around Black Hole all the time. You can fight around Dream Coil. Like, so every time Dream Coil's up, you can just push down a tower, and if they fight you, you Dream Coil, and if there's still stragglers, there's still people trying to fight you, you still have Black Hole. So I feel like there's good team fight, good burst damage with the Ursa and the Slardar and the Puck, obviously. So yeah, I just felt like it was a fun little draft. I started just kind of popping in heroes here and there. I messaged you a couple times like, I want to replace this hero. No, I want to do this one. No, never mind. I don't want to do this one. So, but yeah, I think I really like it. Kind of, I don't think you're hinging on the Slardar Blink as much because you have the initiation with Puck and eventually Ursa and eventually Enigma, etc. So it's not as dependent. And also with the Slardar, picking him 4th, it opens up your last pick. So say you get to your last pick, you have last pick because you're picking 2nd, and you don't want to pick Enigma into what they have. They have something to disrupt it, like multiple things to disrupt Black Hole or something like that. Unless you're like OG, who picks him like first phase, you know, and doesn't care. Yeah. So with picking him last, it kind of, you're able to decide do I want this hero or do I not? And then you can go into picking a 4 hero and putting Slardar off lane, or you can pick another off lane and keep Slardar at the 4. So
okay,
yeah.
All right, so I gotta come back here. This is something that I've been mulling over, and there's a lot of strong points about your draft. You obviously have Ursa Io and Slardar and Enigma, so you're able to really take advantage of the Io being able to go around the map. But the one thing I look at your draft, so you draft Ursa Io in the very beginning. That is an incredible duo versus the Lifestealer. So obviously he was popular. technically in the last patch because the patch came out last night, and he may switch up a little bit with the nerfs to him. I personally think that he is nowhere near as strong as he once was, but he still has a lot of potential, and his mid-game potential is still crazy. His early game is just a lot weaker now. So having that IO and the Ursa, being able to, you know, tether away from the slow and being able to just man mode on Ursa, as he's like the only guy that can man mode up against him, makes a lot of sense. So you would pick up those two, and I think that this draft could potentially work versus a life stealer lineup then. But if I'm looking at this idea, I'm saying, okay, we got Puck and Enigma to set people up for a huge AoE team fight. A lot of CC, a lot of availability, just keep people locked down. That's great for Ursa, but Ursa is very single target. So you just run in there and you're killing that guy. Yeah, you have a lot of seconds of moving people around and stunning, but you can't depend on, like, you can't depend that you're going to kill like 2 people and it's still going to work out okay. Because Enigma, I mean, if you get an Enigma black hole on 3 people, those 3 people have to like die immediately. So there's not really a lot of AoE damage. And I was just thinking, like, is there something that you would want to do about that? Or are you planning to do that because you have the single target damage and you're just trying to get all the CC basically for Ursa?
Okay, so I mean, so yes, Ursa's going to be a lot of single target damage. Like, he's going to be doing a lot of damage to whoever he decides to not initiate on, but whoever he decides to punch to death. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you're going to have the AoE damage from Puck. You could go into a Veil if you want to. You don't necessarily. I don't think with this team it's very great. But I mean, I feel like with Puck, you have a pretty solid amount of damage. At least, like, if we're talking like late game, then it might. Yeah, it's going to be a problem because Ursa falls off and eventually, like, his burst damage he's able to do eventually falls off. So I feel like this draft is more of an early to mid game draft where Ursa is able to burst down just about anyone, and then Puck's able to burst down with his full combo. Then you have Slardar. Like, I feel like there is AoE damage, just maybe not. I don't know. You could also go into like a life stealer with Ursa instead of Ursa, and you still have that damage also coming from there. But I feel like there's enough. I feel like with the Puck, Slardar, Enigma, that there's enough AoE damage going on there. I might be wrong. It just kind of depends on the lineup you're going up against. So
yeah, that's very true. Definitely depends up on the lineup that you're going against. If I were to do this draft, I was looking it over and I was like, okay, there's a lot of strong things about it. I like the Enigma. I like certain things about it. I'm thinking Magnus. Magnus as that last pick, or Magnus maybe picked up sooner, and then not even worrying about the Enigma. Because, okay, if you give that cleave damage on Ursa, he's just going to eat people alive. And having cleave on Ursa is just fantastic. You never build it, but having the free cleave is just incredible. And he offers a lot of the same thing, where he has a big AoE team fight, long cooldown, that's just going to go through BKBs in general. Not quite as long of a lockdown, but you already have Puck kind of existing for another ounce of lockdown. Whereas Enigma's damage isn't that high, especially early game. Like, if you're going to try to do that early game push, you need someone with the potential of saying, okay, this guy is just going to outclass their team fight. And Enigma's ultimate outclasses most, but you have to actually have something to set it up. Where, like, Slardar's stun is AoE, but it's a stun, so you're not stacking stuns then. And then Ursa and Io don't really have a lot of AoE, so I'm just worried about the pick-off potential. Like, let's say they pick off Puck somehow in the fight, then you just really don't have anything to do anything with the black hole. Whereas, like, if you picked up maybe an Invoker, or you picked up a Magnus, or something like that, you'd have a little bit more AoE in general. Even, like, a Jug instead of the Ursa, maybe. Just so you can spin on everyone.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think you could replace the Enigma with a Magnus, or the Puck getting picked off would be a problem in any team fight, because you're basically going into a team fight thinking, I have Dream Coil, I have all my stuff, I'm going to be able to burst these people down, and if we need Black Hole during this push, then we're able to use it, and we still have the Puck to put on more damage. So yeah, that hero getting picked off is definitely an issue. So you can move on to like an Invoker, who I banned. But an Invoker with any kind of AoE obviously is really good. I feel like Invoker has been a little nerfed, especially with the most recent patch and the Midas nerf. I feel like that's kind of an issue for him, but not as much. I don't know. I feel like that hero's, I don't know if he's falling off, but I definitely don't think he's as strong. But yeah, I like the Magnus. The Magnus is really cool because it's the RP is not as long of a cooldown, I believe, as Black Hole. And so you have the combo. And if you get a hero that doesn't build cleave damage, but you're able to give them cleave and they still put out a massive amount of damage, like it's always really good, especially like Ursa because he attacks so damn quick also. So yeah, I like the Magnus. Out of those two heroes that you mentioned, I like the Magnus the most, replacing that with Enigma. Or replacing Enigma with Magnus.
It's actually kind of a thing where I'm looking at like all of your lineup and I'm saying I actually really like your idea of the supports. Now you can't really body block with Slardar because you know Slardar generally has sprint. And if you hit sprint, you'll just be moving right through them. But really, I like those two together because obviously they provided an easy ganking duo, especially in the beginning. You rotate out, you have sprint. Who's the only person that can really catch up on a sprinted Slardar with some boots? Io, because he can just tether right to him. So the amount of damage that you can actually almost guarantee getting a blink on Slardar pretty early with that combination. Unless, you know, Io has to sit mid or something with a certain person. If you're going with the Ursa, you don't necessarily have to have that, especially if you're going for him as a later pick. And that's kind of the thing that I was going to kind of talk to you more about was that, all right, you have that Io Ursa first pick. If I see Ursa picked, man, I'm picking like Drow. I'm picking these guys that can just keep him at that advantage of pushing him away. Maybe going into, you know, OD being able to keep him locked out with, excuse me, with the ability of putting them into the little vortex, and just a lot of ways to just keep him, kiting around him in general. You know, just keeping him at bay, and it's really important to have that, especially versus an Ursa, and I would rather see him in the second phase because of that. Like maybe do Io Slardar in the beginning. You're revealing your two supports then, though. I don't know.
Right. I feel like Slardar's picked as more of a support right now too, so people are going to kind of know. What about another thing I thought about, which I kind of mentioned earlier, was you said Lifestealer is a little bit weaker now, but instead of what about picking him with the Io? Because you still have you have essentially you could gank with the Io, Slardar, and Lifestealer, and just burst someone down like really quick. So you can switch that up too if you wanted to.
It's interesting. It is a lot of single target damage still with AoE. Like if you switched it up to maybe do Magnus instead of Enigma, that would be okay. It's kind of risky to go in on these plays where you're going to TP in so much with Aya. Like, yeah, it's a really cool idea and it's a lot of potential. But if you get a certain hero that can kind of break up them from coming back, especially like Disruptor or moving into, you know, I don't know, them having a puck on the other team to just like completely dodge the attack, getting these guys with blinks that can get away. You have to depend on Slardar getting that crush off immediately, and if you don't, then your entire combo just goes to crap. And using 3 people to gank a support in a combination isn't quite too good. So I like the idea, I like the concept. There's a lot of synergy with Lifestealer. It's just don't want to hedge all your bets into one move, because a good captain will try to see that and try to react beyond that point. That's why like half of my game is countering the other person constantly instead of setting up a perfect combo in the beginning. It's more of a draft stylized view because like a lot of people will swear by, okay, you just have an idea and go for it. And I feel like Lifestealer fits more that mentality.
Yeah.
So
I definitely think like you mentioned like Drow or something like that. Like those kind of heroes definitely would be an issue. I think the puck would still provide something to allow you to burst down like a Drow or somebody weak like that. But also an OD would definitely, I think that OD would be a problem because Ursa comes into the fight and OD's just like, no,
yep.
disappear. And so, yeah, that's an issue. But yeah.
Yeah, and so there's just some stuff to think about, some food for thought. So I'm looking at your ban list. Why don't you run through it real quick so people at home can hear what's going on through your mind?
Okay, so I banned Invoker, Monkey King, Silencer, Riki, Disruptor. I feel like the Invoker is somebody that can easily disrupt the Enigma Black Hole. It's also somebody that can kite Ursa pretty well with Cold Snap, Ice Wall, all of those, Tornado, everything.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, and then I went with Monkey King. He's a long stun, and he's able to. I think he would be able to soak XP from Enigma too if he went into the jungle. I feel like that'd be an issue. Silencer for the obvious reasons. Riki, again, kind of for the obvious reasons. Also, like not only is he able to stalk the Enigma once he moves to the jungle, he's able to disrupt a lot with that puck or the Enigma or the Slardar. Say he throws on the smoke when the Slardar blinks in, and it kind of screws up any combo that you want to have. And then the Disruptor, I feel like when you come in, you tether and you relocate in IO with IO Ursa or IO Slardar, like Disruptor can just send back the carry that's with them, and then you can just kind of kill IO before he's able to go back. Also, the AoE silence. So for like a hero like Enigma or Puck, whenever they blink to initiate, it's kind of the same as Riki. Once he lays down that silence, you're kind of screwed. So you would need a BKB eventually, but the early game, which you're kind of wanting to play with this lineup, you're definitely going to have an issue once he hits 6.
Most definitely. Most definitely. That's also something that's good about the Lifestealer that I didn't think of, now that you're kind of talking this out, is that Lifestealer also is good versus the Disruptor, where he won't be, sent back, where you would have to target the IO. But actually targeting the IO can be more of a problem a lot of times, because then you can just have your carry deep behind enemy lines, and they all TP to rotate to kill him, and the IO is back to where he was before. So
honestly, I think we talked about it earlier. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
I would replace the Ursa with Jug. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It provides a team fight, especially if you go like the Maelstrom build. Provides the team fight also with Omni Slash and Spin and all that stuff. It provides quite a bit.
More push potential.
Push potential, especially with the healing ward, and it kind of provides when you're relocating, like we were just talking about, like he can spin if like a Disruptor sends him back or something like that. And it kind of deals with the OD issue when you go into a team fight, like you are going to Omni Slash most likely and then spin, so your damage isn't being imprisoned. Like you're still able to fight because you have 2 skills, one that takes you completely out of the fight as you're killing people or doing damage, and then spin, he's not able to target you. So I definitely like the Jug more than the Ursa. Yeah. I kept the Ursa just because, like I said, I was going with the Roshan early level 1 type thing, and then I eventually was like, you know what, let's go with this instead. But now after sitting and talking about it, I definitely like the Jug. It makes a lot more sense than the Ursa does.
Yeah, it's also very hard to get into Roshan in general, just where it's at this point. It's like you were saying in the beginning, it's just super hard to get it to happen. And there's a lot of people that I've talked to that, they're fans of that old style. Someone that comes up to mind is Jordan Hansen. We've played with him a couple times, and obviously someone that's important in the .P realm, and we play with a lot of people in there. And he has a lot of love for those types of strategies, doing that type of like early Roshan stuff. And I always want to tell him, like, well, it's pretty easy to check now. There's a lot of movement on the map that you can do, and if you ever really have any good like lineups, and even like cheese, like the old strategy of going into a Luna based lineup, a Luna Venge, and getting that damage aura base, and then running into Roshan, it works, but he also has more armor than he used to. He has less health, but he has more armor, so it's not like it's that strategy's still as strong as it once was. And it's also in a really bad position. So
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that style anymore.
No, it was just something. It was something we hadn't talked about, and I feel like I haven't seen it in a while. And I was like, I'm going to talk about that.
Yeah.
And then the further along I went with it, I was like,
There's good
I'm
reason.
not going to talk about that.
Yeah. Yep, totally. So I'm looking through your bands here, and why did you choose Disruptor as your last band and not earlier on? Because it is a support. People are going to want to pick it up first. If you're picking IO first, and it's the counter to IO, then people are probably gonna pick it up either first or second phase, right?
Yeah, I would probably move that to second phase, I think. I did the Invoker Monkey King first phase. I feel like Monkey King, I don't know about with the new patch. I kind of briefly went over the notes, but that's a hero.
Yeah.
That's really strong. So I feel like that's obviously a ban. Also, with the issues that I mentioned earlier, with him able to soak XP and he's got the long range stun, etc. And then the Invoker's always been a popular pick, I feel like, and he has so much he's able to do against the Ursa. So I kind of banned that out first, also against Enigma. But without the Ursa, I feel like you could just prioritize a BKB eventually on Enigma and kind of deal with Invoker. But I would definitely move Disruptor earlier into the draft because, like you said, when you tether somebody and you come in, like he's able to do so much. And if he's picked up earlier, there's not a whole lot you can do about it. And it really sucks playing like Enigma or Puck against a Disruptor. So
Yeah.
I would definitely move him. I don't know though, because I think maybe swap him and Invoker. I feel like Invoker would be maybe just take Invoker out, put Disruptor first, Disruptor Monkey King, and then last man something else.
Maybe.
That you just don't want. Maybe, I don't know. I feel like the Silencer's a good ban, but again, you can just get like a Lotus Orb on the Slardar or a BKB on the Enigma. You have a Euls on Puck. Jug can go Manta, or could have spun before the silence went off. So,
So real quick though, just so you know, the changes to Monkey King were that they changed his jump. It's actually his jump doesn't slow as much in the beginning, but it technically slows more at level 4 instead of 75. It's 80%, and his stun doesn't last quite as long anymore. So also Wukong Command's ultimate is heavily increased. It's like 30 more seconds. It's insane for its cooldown. So
okay. I thought you meant like how long it actually lasted. I was like, what?
Why? Why 30 seconds? Yeah, no, that would be insane. Yeah, the thing about that hero though, I do think you're right. He offers a lot in the pro meta at least because of how just escapable he is and how much he gives. Vision is a very important thing, and flying vision is incredible in general. So having that big bonus, if you're jumping into trees a lot, you know how to jump, you can get a lot of information because you still see a lot when you're actually jumping. And he offers a lot to the team. He offers a slow, a stun, he offers pretty good right click for a normal guy. Makes a lot of sense on why you would try to push him out. I think looking at your draft, I would try to go into Disruptor like we were saying earlier. I think I would actually I'd second phase of Disruptor. I think I'd first ban Riki, though. Looking at your idea, because you want to be the best roamers ever. And what's going to stop your roaming? Like, Slardar IO, if Riki's just roaming around and says, oh, dude, they're coming, get out of there. And that just, like, completely shuts down your whole draft if that happens. So, like, pray that they don't go for Bounty Hunter, I feel like. Because, oh, man, that'd be painful.
Yeah.
But at least Bounty Hunter doesn't have the silence, so you're at least not dealing with that, and having that roaming potential of Monkey King Riki is what kills the roaming IO Slardar, so makes a lot of sense. Alright, so we've kind of talked about your picks and your bans for what's going on here. What hero? So, like, if you were to get banned Puck in this situation, you could get Io Juggernaut in the very beginning. What would your next phase be? Like, what would bring this draft together at that point?
And so, okay, so we get Io Jug, and then Puck is banned.
Banned second phase. Puck is banned.
Okay. So with us getting a second pick, would they have first ban? Because they would go.
It would go, yeah.
Pick, yeah. So if they banned Puck first, then I wouldn't ban the Invoker, right? And I would probably just pick the Invoker.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart. Yeah, I can see that.
If that wasn't a possibility, say they banned Invoker, or not Invoker, say they banned Puck and I ban Invoker already or something like that, or they ban both or something.
They could ban both.
Yeah, let's see.
It's not uncommon. They're both very strong last patch, so.
Yeah. I think there's a few heroes you could go with. I mean, I feel like we've mentioned OD. I feel like you can still go with an OD. Not as bursty with the team fight, obviously, but you could go. I don't like that. I was thinking you go like Timbersaw mid, but I don't think I like that. That's another melee.
Yeah.
There's I don't know. You could go with a few. You can go with Lena. I like Lena a lot. She's pretty strong right now too.
They did change her. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw her changes. I don't think they're that. They make sense, right? Because when you hit level 10, you should be close to your bloodstone, if not already have it. So you were like immediately respawning for a while. So I understand that change quite a bit. You could also do the Shadow Shaman mid, especially now with the more buffs that he got. You could do that one too. It would help your push game. And then once you get a blink, I mean, you have quite a bit of nuke damage, especially at level, whatever level that was that they upgraded. What nuke got? Where was it? Oh, it was level 25. Never mind. But anyway, he still provides burst damage and lockdown. So you could go with that as well. But I think Lena would be the first option since she's so strong right now.
I do think Lena's pretty good. I like that idea. Now, going into like a little bit of a Flubb style here, I know it's weird, but I like the idea of a Warlock mid, especially if there's like an SF on the other team. Warlock versus SF is something that I've always done classically, and it just breaks him down. You just out harass him out of lane, and even with shrines, it doesn't even help him out that much because his potential in lane is incredible. And let's say you get that black hole, or you don't even get the black hole. You need that setup. You drop the rock, you black hole, and then you have all that AoE team fight. So your two cores have the AoE team fight, and then your Jug has that single target mashup ability. So, you know, I think that there's a lot of potential there, and I'm looking at all the others' ideas. Now, I Drink from a Ham just suggested DP, and DP could be very strong. But as he said here, you would be super cooldown dependent.
Yeah. And
it's basically you would guarantee win a team fight, but then the other team would just basically be like, okay, we just need a save for buyback every time. Buyback, and then whenever they don't have their ultimates, we push like 2 towers every time. Yeah.
I feel like there's a few. I mean, there's quite a few heroes you can go with. You could also go with like, I like the Warlock idea. You could go with. I was just thinking of the hero. You could go with a Marana. I think Marana would be good. She has a lot of burst damage, and that adds to the pickoff potential with her ult and the arrow. And the leap. I mean, she's able to leap in, burst like everyone down. So I think that's another good option. You could also go like the harassing support type hero slash mid heroes. So like you mentioned, Warlock or Shadow Shaman, or you could go with like a Jakiro, or instead of banning Silencer, you could go with Silencer. Though I don't think he's not as bursty as Puck, but it's still. I mean, there's a lot you can go with. To be honest, I think.
Right. I think kind of I'm looking at the draft, and as you're talking in general, what kind of reminds me of is that you kind of want to win mid lane hard in your lineup. Like, yeah, you have the roaming potential, you have a lot of setup. You're gonna basically use your mid to kind of go from that point, because if you're getting rid of Riki and Monkey King, those are two good people to kind of harass mid or keep him at bay, trying to get the kills in general. So the only other person that kind of like screws that up is Earth Spirit, and Earth Spirit isn't really going to be a problem for those two when that happens. So I don't know. What I'm thinking here is that you kind of want that harass to kind of push the person out and just have like the best mid lane ever, and then hopefully that translates to winning the game at that point, which is a good strategy for sure. But
you could go, I mean, if we're going with that, like you could go, there's other heroes like Pugna. You could go with a Pugna. I haven't seen Pugna played very often, but you could go with him or like a Lich or something. Like there's quite a few heroes you could go with mid with that kind of mindset. Like you want to just harass the mid laner out of lane, win your lane, which Lich does, and I feel like Pugna does. Also, he helps with the push potential. So, or you could go with like a Leshrac also, but he's not I don't think he's as strong. I haven't seen him in a while. I think the last time I saw him, I actually played him. But anyway, just kind of sticking with that mid lane winning hero who can push. You could go with Leshrac or Pugna or somebody like that also if you wanted to tweak it up a little bit.
Yeah, I know that they've just buffed Pugna a little bit here and there. I can't get around that hero. Like, I love the hero so much. I love his potential and what he can do. I just feel like there's something missing in this meta with that guy. And maybe it's the change to the towers may actually help him out. That's being able to split push a little bit easier. You know, I might see that resurgence of that guy, especially with OD being as popular as he is. You know, it's very good to have that guy that's good versus these casters in general. And technically they did get buffed too by getting the intelligence switched around. So there's that potential. I'm interested. I didn't even think of Pugna, and I wonder if he's good now. I'm gonna say no probably right now, but
yeah.
I feel like there may be other people, though I'm like super biased because, like I said, Warlock mid, and people would be like, "What are you doing? Warlock mid?
Yeah.
That's just dumb."
Oh, dude, people are still not even on the Shadow Shaman train. I'm fully on board 100%.
Oh yeah.
Like I was kind of teetering. I was like just sitting on the train with my legs off, like ready to jump just in case. But now I'm like fully on, dedicated to that train because the last buffs that he just received too are just, I don't know. I like them. So.
Yep, you got to get on that Han trash train, man. Like it's a great train to be on. I got to tell you. All right, so we got this what if scenario kind of done. What are the items you're planning for these heroes? And you kind of switched it up. So instead of going for the Ursa, let's talk about Jug. Let's go Io, Jug, Puck, Slardar, Enigma. What are your perfect items for these guys?
Well, I have Ursa's items written down. So just thinking off the top of my head, I feel like with the team fight that you have, I feel like with Jug, you would want to do the Maelstrom build, I think. A Manta possibly if you need it for any kind of dispel for like a silence or something. But with the IO, like he helps you stay alive, so I don't think health is necessarily as important, like with those like a Scotty build or something. So I would probably go the Maelstrom build, the Ring of Aquila, Phase Boots, Maelstrom. Honestly, from there you can kind of go into just kind of what you need depending on the game. With Enigma, I would go with Mech, Arcanes, eventually a Blink, and Greaves, just kind of typical Enigma thing. BKB. Slardar, I feel like Blink is definitely important, like it is on him all the time. And then the items after that, it just kind of, again, depends game to game. If you need more physical damage, you can go with like a Deso or something. If you need more utility, you can go with Medallion or Lotus. Lotus would be good if you're up against like a Silencer, if maybe they pick him before you're able to ban him. on the puck, blink, euls, and then instead of veil, veil was something I usually built on that hero, but I feel like, I think we've talked about this before with puck, with this kind of lineup, like there's not a whole lot of magic damage going on. So going into like a Dagon with just adding that extra burst damage would be pretty good. And then you can go into Sheepstick, Shivas, Aghs, whatever you need after that. And then IO, I feel like earn arcanes and then probably like a glimmer to help you survive in fights as probably all you're going to be able to get. Yeah, I don't play IO very often. I've played him a few times, or it, but I feel like that would be okay since you're already getting the mech on Enigma, and Enigma can obviously farm it a lot faster than the IO can.
No bottle on IO?
Oh yeah, bottle.
Now it's cool. Sometimes you can't build bottle IO. Depends on where you're going. A lot of times, if you're going to stay mid, and that's something you could do with the draft, right? You could have just a Slardar supporting whoever's top, and then have IO mid helping out where he can. Or you could switch it off so that the Jug comes mid and have IO Jug or IO Ursa, and then kind of have a solo lane up top and have the roaming Slardar with IO whenever he picks up runes helps the Slardar get a gank at the same time. So
yeah,
yes.
I drink from Ham in our Twitch chat actually mentioned that and said you can also shift your Ursa/Jug to the mid lane, especially with an IO. So
yeah,
that is an option.
Yeah, so I mean, he came up with the idea. Obviously, I wasn't. I guess I was thinking it, and I was like, oh, okay, gotcha. Like as you were saying that. So I drink from Ham. Thought of it first. You heard it first today. But the thing is like, you go to the back to the lane. You can have that synergy in that lineup. You can move it around a lot. What's really nice about having that bottle is being able to have that potential of refilling it constantly. Thing is that there's not every game you're going to be guaranteed that. So you generally have to go like what is it? Clarities, salves, things like that to get your movement going and get the general feel for a safe lane over a. Well, the thing is too, if you're going IO, you can't rush bottle with a Slardar because you kind of want that movement speed. You want those early boots, right? So it's almost like guaranteed you can't get it.
Just random the IO. Just go to all pick and random.
So this is an all pick draft instead.
Yeah, change it. All pick draft.
All right, cool.
I definitely think. I mean, you could do just a windlace too. I feel like.
Yeah, windlace is.
Boots are still pretty important, but I think windlace might be enough. Windlace bottle or something like that.
Well, windlace and then all your items for, Slardar, because you can't do a windlace and bottle, but.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so you got that. Did you forget someone? I feel like we forgot someone. We talked to IO.
Did I?
Slardar.
No.
You mentioned Jug items?
Yeah, that's the one I started with. I think I got them all.
Okay. I actually, when I was hearing about your draft and I was thinking about what you're saying, there isn't a lot of magic damage. And I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, there's not like a whole ton because Slardar, obviously, and then Jug. And then I kind of thought, wait, there is magic damage from Jug. He's got spin, one. And then he also has, you're going for that Maelstrom build.
Maelstrom.
And kind of offers that extra damage on Maelstrom. So maybe it might be better in this lineup to have that, because also, let's be honest, having that giant AoE that Enigma drops down with just that percentage health, that's magic damage, adding more increased magic damage on that is insane. So I think that it could be really good in this lineup. Now, if you're not going...
Yeah, you definitely could. I feel like you would have to go... I feel like Veil, but depending on the game, you could go Euls, then Veil instead of Blink, because you already have your initiation, and then you can orb in, or you can switch it up. But I feel like Veil needs to be the middle item. It needs to be in between Blink or Euls. That's just my personal opinion. That's typically how I would do it, because you want the burst damage earlier in the game. I guess it doesn't necessarily matter. I don't know. This is how I've always viewed it playing Puck. I'm like, I want this at this point instead of this point. Anyway, I think it'd be good with the Maelstrom and everything and the Slardar Crush. It'd provide quite a bit.
Right.
I was just thinking of the single, which is just single target burst damage for like the Dagon or something, but
yeah, you have to kind of clear that up since you aren't as single target as you were before without Ursa.
right.
And it's also important to note that you could have gone Magnus like you were saying, like we were talking about before, instead of the Enigma. So it wouldn't work well if Enigma wasn't in the draft to have that veil. So it makes sense. Makes sense. Okay. So we got the items, we got the bands, we got the picks. Now, is there anything that you kind of like feel about this draft that you would kind of want to have happen now that you've kind of switched anything out? Is there a different power peak at a certain point? Like, are you trying to win the game by 30 minutes here with the jug and the Enigma and everything? Or are you trying to win it by like 20 or, you know, maybe even minute 50, going for that late game type style? What are you feeling on this draft?
I feel like it should be like an average game, right? Like a 30 to 40 minute, 35 to 40 minute game. I don't know. I would say 30. Yeah, 30 to 40. In between there, you should be trying to end. In my opinion, you have the push potential with the jug and the healing ward and the Enigma Eidolons and things like that. You have the team fight. You have all those down. Yeah, and like I said at the beginning of the draft, I felt like the pushing power was at the bottom, but I don't think it's as far down as it was because you have the potential with a jug now being able to push faster. Yeah, so I would say, like I said, I would say 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so you're going for that 30 to 40 minutes area. When you're looking at the ideas of your draft here, and you're going into your lane scenario, are you worried about anything in lane as like, because you can't really leave Jug alone anymore, right? He's not as easy to leave as an Ursa. Ursa kind of counters a lot of the things that exist right now. You can kind of counter the Centaur. You can counter these big tanky guys that are gonna inevitably be in the off lane. With Jug, it's a little harder, and you kind of have to have people babysit him a little bit more. I'm kind of looking over this draft, and it kind of like just dawned on me now. What if they pick up the puck and they try to run it as an off lane? Because you don't really have a lot versus a puck off lane, and it's getting picked up quite a bit as an off lane now. Whereas, because like it was what OG, it was OG and EG, I believe, that were running it quite a bit and getting Hand of Midas on him in the off lane, kind of getting back into the game just using Hand of Midas before. Do you think that's a possibility, or is that going to be something that you're going to be worried about in general?
I mean, it'd be an issue because you can't spin every time he throws out an orb, right? So he has a lot of damage in the off lane, a lot of damage from range, so you're not able to punish it. And IO just kind of can only regen so much. So that would definitely be, if there was a puck, you would definitely need to go bottle on IO, just kind of sustain and constantly go get that rune at 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, that would be an issue. I don't know if it would be game losing, but it would be annoying as hell. I mean, you could put, putting Slardar in the safe lane doesn't really fix that problem either. I don't know what really. Puck in the off lane I really like. It's something that I've tried to run on previous teams before. I like that it's making a comeback, but I just don't. I don't know. You could go with a different hero instead of Slardar, or a different hero instead of IO, and just kind of last in lane. Because IO's not. I like like you said, the potential of IO Slardar and the ganking ability. But if you needed to change it up, well, then you're first picking it. So
right.
I don't know.
Right. And you could switch it up a little bit, like you said. You don't necessarily have to have that picked up in the early game, and that's one of the things that can kind of screw you over. You can also kind of give a different carry at that point too. You could have someone kind of more ranged in that situation. Have a drow even. Like your lineup would work really well with drow. Drow doesn't really take advantage of the IO, but maybe you can just have IO take advantage of Slardar and Enigma in general. So I mean, there's different ways to kind of counteract that, but it's not the end of the world. You could switch it up a little bit here and there, and you can do a lot of different things. So
yeah. Now I'm just theory crafting even more. I'm thinking like instead of you put Puck off lane and then instead of that Enigma, do like a Magnus mid, and have like an IO and rotate with that. Anyway.
That's what this show's about, man. We got to theory craft this all out, talk it out with all of our fans and everything. So, is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, you had that train of thought. You want to finish that up real quick? Want to talk about the Magnus mid?
I mean, no, not really. just an idea. Like, putting Magnus mid and Puck off lane since it is, becoming popular. I mean, it's a lot of team fight, a lot of damage. And yeah, anyway.
He's a little weak to Puck, though, if they do decide to put him mid, so there is that potential. But
yeah,
he's still a really strong hero in general. And even with the nerfs, I feel like he still has his core concept is still very strong. Alright, so that will kind of finish up that section. Now we got to talk about the most important thing, rating the beer. Or rating the tea, I guess, in this episode. So, Kimbrell, how would you rate this tea?
It's great. I think, honestly, a shower and a nap's probably going to help more than the tea, but it's good.
Yep. That always helps me when I'm down. All right, so we're going to go into rating the beer. For me, it was the Lagunitas. Jeez. I even said it wrong. Lagunitas. So the Lagunitas, I don't like IPAs, so I feel bad rating this one because it's like not made for me. But I'm gonna say a 2.5. Those are lovers of IPA. Try this out. It's probably good for you. If you're a normal, average, not that classy of a beer drinker guy like me, you might want to stick away from this one. But I'm Flubb. I'm all weird and stuff, so don't take my low rating too harshly on this beer. But it's a 2.5 for me. Sorry, guys. All right, so that will end up the show. Let's close out the show. All right, so if you guys want to help us out, you can always subscribe to any of our videos on our Twitch channel. We got twitch.tv/Toffees_Dota2. You can also go to our YouTube channel, 5 Midas Gaming, all one word. Or you can listen to any of our podcasts instead of our VODs. You can listen to them on Stitcher, iTunes, and SoundCloud. You can also give to our Patreon, www.patreon.com/Toffees. And if you have any questions for me, Toffees, or Kimbrell, you can always follow us. You can follow Toffees at Toffees TV. You can follow me at my Twitter at FlubbDota, and you can follow Kimbrell at skimbrell_, always with that little tail. And then you can always email me, crazyflubb@gmail.com, if you have any questions or anything that you need to, talk to me about. If you want to schedule casting in general, just let me know. And that's about it. So I'm glad that you guys were able to share a beer with us today, or tea in Kimbrell's case. And we will see you guys next week. Catch you later.
Bye, guys.